So speaking of the Eagles, you're a big Eagles guy. They signed Hassan Reddick to a $15 million contract this year. I thought filling one of their biggest holes on that team,
Absolutely.
which was the middle of the field of their defense. Their run defense has always been good for years, but was a little down last year too. Is there anything else that you would want them to prioritize more in free agency? I've actually seen more offensive and defensive line, like a lot of Eagles fans wanting that, even though it's been one of their strengths for years.
You got a lot of picks.
Yeah, so what do you want them to do? Any particular player targets or positions?
The Eagles made the playoffs this year, and it was a lot of smoke and mirrors, and a lot of it was because we added a seventh team in the NFL playoffs to each conference. Jalen Hurts is not very good. Let's be honest. For fantasy, he's great because he runs. He couldn't throw the ball from wherever you're listening to this show to like the other side of the room. He could, if you're listening in your car, he couldn't throw it out the passenger side window. He's just not a good quarterback. And will he improve? Maybe. But they've got 3 first-round picks. They desperately, desperately need help at corner. They have no safeties currently on the roster that can play right now. Like Marcus Epps would be one of their starting safeties right now. So they're going to get some more pass rush help. Fletcher Cox is getting pretty old. Don't be shocked if they trade him down the line. They need another wide receiver. They keep striking out. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside 3 years ago. Jalen Reagor 2 years ago. Both guys are complete busts.
2 guys I liked. I was wrong on.
Yeah, I mean, they need another receiver.
They weren't wrong about Smith.
Smith's good, but
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of fantasy, if you look at it from that aspect, the guy sees 4 targets a game. Well, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
If he was playing in an offense like with a Joe Burrow or with a Mahomes, I mean, people would be talking about Devonta Smith as the second coming. You know, they go, this guy's Jerry Rice 2.0, but, you know, he sees 3-4 targets a game. What can you do? So, yeah, they need another receiver. And, you know, I don't want to say that they're still in it for Deshaun Watson because he said he doesn't want to go there. But if there is ever a team that could put together a package for Deshaun Watson, it's the Eagles because nobody can match what they can give him. You could give him, I mean, multiple first-round picks all this year. You got picks next year. You've got assets like Jalen Hurts, who's on a rookie deal. You could give him Fletcher Cox, who's an all-pro. You could give him Andre Dillard, who's a first-round pick at tackle to go out there. So there's players, there's picks. But if Deshaun doesn't want to go there, then he's just not going to go there.
Last question for me, Brian. You look at the AFC, and we were just talking about it, in the AFC East, and New England last year spent a lot of money. They really did. And obviously we expect Buffalo to be the head of that division like we saw last year. But New England was fighting for that division last year with Mac Jones. They lose Josh McDaniels. He goes to Vegas. Where do you see the New England Patriots this year? A second year under his belt in Mac Jones and some of the four-headed monster running game that was, I mean, altogether, I think they're spent for 4 running backs. It's crazy, like $14 million for 4 running backs. I mean, and their running game was fantastic, and their defense was one of the best in the league. Where do you see the New England Patriots going in the offseason and moving into the new season?
You know, I really liked what Mac Jones did last year. And we had to do predictions over at PFF about who we thought Rookie of the Year was. And I said Mac Jones over Jamar Chase because to me, he's a quarterback. He's a quarterback on a team that fought to the end to make the playoffs. And to me, that's very impactful. And you saw what he did in that Sunday night game against Brady. You know, he was just very composed, and I think he's going to be a very good quarterback going forward. And for fantasy, I mean, nobody talks about Mac Jones. And why would they? Unless they get another receiver or two. And I think in this draft, they're going to take a couple of shots at that. And it wouldn't shock me if they spent a little money, maybe Allen Robinson shows up there.
Really?
They need somebody.
They have the money to get Allen Robinson?
You got to have somebody. I mean, you can't win in this league when you've got to outscore in the AFC Mahomes and Herbert and Allen. You're going to do that with Nelson Aguilar and you know, Jacoby Myers and these type of guys. I mean, it's not going to happen. So I'm interested to see what they do now on offense without, you know, I think would they bring Bill O'Brien in now who's going to run the offense. That's an offense that's built from the inside out. Charlie Weiss built that offense years ago. It was from the slot receiver to the tight ends and it went out. And now you look at this team and you go, well, I mean, who's playing slot for them? And you've got these 2 tight ends. And they just don't have any firepower on the outside. But as long as Bill Belichick's there, guys, I'll never, ever count this team out. And I think they're going to be in the running for a playoff spot and in a division championship again.
So last question for me. Some of the fantasy beneficiaries of a lot of these big trades we've seen already, Russell Wilson especially going to Denver, those receivers have been looking for it for a while, Aaron Rodgers going back to Green Bay, things like that. Who do you think benefits the most in terms of like the offensive skill players and also maybe even the quarterbacks themselves? Where do you think their stock ends up even on another team?
I think it's all the guys in Denver. If you're looking at Jerry Jeudy, if you're looking at Cortland Sutton, even KJ Hamler, and of course, Albert Obui Kunum, I believe is how you say his last name. But those guys, I mean, they're all going to go through the roof because Russell Wilson now is a competent quarterback. You're not dealing with Teddy Bridgewater. You're not dealing with Drew Lock. You're dealing with an NFL caliber player. So I love all those guys for fantasy this year. And you're going to see Javonte Williams, depending on if Melvin Gordon comes back, or maybe even not. Javonte Williams could be a first-round pick in fantasy. And we saw what he did in the game where he had all the touches and he put up, I think he's still scoring touchdowns in that Sunday night game. He was out of control. I love the guys in Denver. I think they're going to be set up for success. I love James Conner in Arizona. We'll see if they bring somebody else in to complement him. I'm sure they will.
They lost a running back, didn't they?
Yeah, Edmonds.
Edmonds went to Miami, and now. But that's the problem is we sit here in terms of football kind of fantasy prognosticators, and we say, hey, James Conner, he's now the guy in Arizona. Well, I mean, in reality, free agency started today, and we still have this thing called the NFL draft. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that can happen between now and September. So saying, oh, James Conner, he's going to be a top 10 fantasy running back. Okay, great. And then they draft Breece Hall in the second round, and he's in a timeshare, and he gets beat out by a more talented rookie. I mean, and now you're sunk. So we just got to see what happens. So just take it one day at a time here in the fantasy world.
Knowing Kliff Kingsbury, he'll probably draft a 180-pound receiver and put him at running back.
Hey, he'll end up, one of these guys, maybe get James Cook out of Georgia or something. He'd fit in well there.
They better make a run this year, or Kingsbury's going to be looking for a new job. I'll tell you that right now.
Is he going to keep that kick-ass mansion that he was at for the draft? Who cares?
Oh, man, that guy is a lucky man. I'll tell you that right now. What a lucky – how do you get a job? How do you get a job when you really never even coached a college football team? You were an assistant, and you get an NFL job. And now you've been there. You get your quarterback. You drafted a quarterback. You gave up on him, and you get the number one pick, and you get your Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has his problems on and off the field. After losing that game, he's complaining. His agent's talking for him. He wants more money. Kingsbury's sitting there at chatterbox. I mean, this team is as talented as they were this past year. This team has been nothing but a chatterbox. I don't know what the hell's going on with that team on and off the field.
Go look up, Kliff Kingsbury's house, and then Google the house Lincoln Riley got from USC, and just see how large these guys are living out there and how great it is to be a head coach for one of these teams. But yeah, like you said, with those guys, they just fizzle out every single year, and it seems Arizona just keeps the talent is eroding. And you've got an older DeAndre Hopkins, and he was hurt last year. Now you lost Christian Kirk. AJ Green's a free agent. So it's Rondell Moore. He's got to step up and be your second wide receiver. Yeah. So they're going to be drafting, I would say, one or two receivers, and they'll probably be in the market for some of these low-end free agents. Maybe they re-sign AJ Green, get him back in the fold. But yeah, it's going to be interesting out there in the NFC, but it's so low, it's so wide open. Who cares? You could be the crappiest team out there. You're in the NFC. Great. You're still in the playoffs. Right. All you got to, can you beat the Eagles who run the ball like it's an Army-Navy game? Great. Now you're in.
It's wide open, just like Kliff Kingsbury's house. All you have to do to qualify. All you have to do to qualify is somewhat coach Oklahoma for a little bit, and you'll be good. Just get a big mansion after that.
Let's just throw a party over there. How's that sound?
Hey, I'm in. I'll bring the Heinekens and we'll rock and roll.
Yeah, well, we need some, all the different liquors. What do we have over there? Speedy's favorite because he's the liquor and beer drinker.
I see a Captain Morgan.
I'm a liquor salesman in real life.
Really? Are you
Yes,
really?
I did. If you see behind me, if you folks are watching on YouTube, and why wouldn't you be watching the Sports Loudmouths on YouTube and Twitch and whatever? You know, you
He's
see
a
behind me, I
salesman
got
too. Look at that.
I got my I got Bullet Bourbon, I got some Buffalo Trace up
I see it.
there, some Blantons. If you're into bourbons, I got that Kettle One, Captain.
There you
some
go,
Henny
Jeff.
XO.
There you go, Jeff. You know
Oh
where
yeah,
to go.
I do see
You
the
know where to
Kettle
buy
One
them.
now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, there you go. You got a whole other side.
Oh,
Very nice.
Brian, thank you for joining us. Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Drake Fantasy. I host a little podcast with Dwayne McFarland of PFF called the Fantasy Football Hustle. Check that out on YouTube. We're on Twitter at FF Hustle. And then hopefully we'll be back again this year, Sirius XM, doing the PFF show on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays.
Well, we'd love to get you back on as the draft moves forward and where everything falls, because I think the draft is really going to make a difference on where you see the offseason, where you're going to grade them from A, B, or C, or maybe even F, because I could say a lot of teams, a.k.a. the Jacksonville Jaguars, where I give them a grade.
Look at the
of an
2020 Raiders. They're the perfect example of an
I
F.
feel so bad for Trevor Lawrence and where he's sitting right now. I really do. For all the talent that he is and what everybody says he's going to change the game, he's the next Andrew Luck, a.k.a. Peyton Manning. Why would I want to be there?
Doug Peterson and Press Taylor as your coaches, and your best receiver is Christian Kirk.
There you go.
Good luck.
Great.
We had better talent at Clemson.
Well,
Yes.
what an interview, by the way. Thank you, Brian, for taking your time, and we'll talk to you soon. Brian
Thanks, guys.
Brian Drake, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome interview. Knows his stuff. Check out his Sirius XM show, as he was talking about on the weekend. If you want to buy liquor from him, well, you know how to get a hold of him, too. He's got tons of bourbon, as he was saying, right behind him, and that's what he does for a living. So there you go, Speedy. You like liquor, man. You should reach out to Brian.
Yeah, liquor salesman. To get to experiment. We were actually when I was doing our little test, we were chatting about different types of beers too. He introduced me some new names.
Yeah, right now I got the Southern Tier 2X Haze Double Juicy IPA, 7%.
There you go, Speedy. That's a beer right there for you. So,
All right, I have to keep that name in mind too, Brian.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff here in upstate New York.
Yeah, he loves his beer too. I mean, I don't drink. I only drink once a year on my birthday.
There you go.
Yeah, but I do get a little crazy on my birthday. So maybe, Brian, you come out here. You live upstate. You come and celebrate
go.
my birthday, man. I mean, have a little fun. You bring your wife.
Everybody I knew in college, I went to school at Oswego State University upstate. If you're real, you guys know about that if you're downstate, because if you couldn't afford to go to Syracuse, you just went another 40 minutes up the road to Oswego and hung out there. But I went to a mini graduation party and hung out downstate. Where'd we go? East Northport, Long Island. I remember going to somebody's party down there.
Yes, East Northport's right by me. I live in Wisconsin. It's like, I would say 15 minutes away from me, East Northport.
But if you're on the LIE, it's an hour and a half.
That's true. Actually, the worst highway here is 347. It is the worst. You do not want to drive on 347. And where I work during the day, during the week, it's horrible. It's bumper-to-bumper traffic, and people don't know how to drive. And the older people they look like they're ready to kill you. I think, and I'll say this for all the New York fans out there, and I've said this many, many times on our FM show on the weekend. If you are 60 or older, you should have to go for a driving test every 5 years. These people that are on the road are going to kill everybody. I swear to God, old women giving me the middle finger today because I'm trying to get through to them, and they're sitting in the middle lane. I mean, they're sitting in 2 lanes in the middle of the lane. So they're horrible drivers, and I don't understand it. But you want to know something? The roads aren't good either. So where do all our politically taxes go? Well, it goes into everybody's pockets but the roads. So there you go.
I got to find out where all this money from these DraftKings and MGM and where sports books, where that cash went.
I'll tell you where it goes.
My kids should be eating filet mignon at school and reading from gold-plated textbooks with billions of dollars already going into the pockets because of the money that people here in New York State are gambling.
Just wait in 10 years. There won't even be books.
It's crazy.
Politicians, that's where it's going. And our gas prices are shooting up because of our dear old president. And by the time he's done, it'll be at $7 a gallon. So thank you to the politicians out there. And I'm not here to talk, political stuff or anything like that. But our country right now is just in a shamble of crap. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say. Anyways, thank you, Brian.
You got it, guys. Cheers. Have a good night.
Brian Drake, ladies and gentlemen.